What's up guys, Sub-Zero here, back for another Avad review, and today we got something really interesting. So this is a player I've never reviewed before. Their name is Etre, Infame, and they are ranked 11 on the US server, so very high elo. And the reason I want to Avad review this player is there's a unit this patch that got buffed pretty considerably. There's a lot of hype around them, and they've actually been playing a decent amount of reroll around this unit. This is Renata reroll. You see they have a first here. They played it a bunch earlier. Some blunders, you know, some eighths with it, some bad games, but it really seems like this player has been spamming this comp a lot and really just kind of trying to figure out the ins and out of it. And you know, when they get there, when they have everything that really works, when it all comes together, it has a very high cap. So I just wanted to VOD review a game of this because I've not played any games of Renata reroll. Renata obviously got buffed pretty considerably in this patch, so I think that is kind of like the idea that is making people think more about this Renata reroll setup. There are a lot of people who have talked about Renata reroll from the perspective of like a Chem Baron, and that doesn't really seem like what this player is doing. They're not really trying to play for like a Chem Baron setup, get a bunch of like stacks early, and then play for like a high cap Renata game. They're really just playing solid tempo Renata, playing around visionaries, playing around just the strength of the unit. Here you can see picking up all these visionary units, though playing around the bruiser opener just because it's our best opener right now. But yeah, it's I don't know, I'm hyped to see how this comp does and how well it actually like caps out and how well it just does in general. We certainly have the items for it. First augment now. This is nerf prismatic pipeline, and then level up and then ambusher +1. I guess you would take prismatic pipeline. It's just a generically good one. This is the one gifts of the friends past or something like that, ghosts of the past, where when your units die they gain HP or AP or AD depending on the units, and that like goes to the rest of your units. This augment was nerfed pretty considerably, though. It only gives 5 HP down from 12 before, so not as solid. So maybe we reroll this last one just to see what our options are. Ooh, okay, and then strategy de investissement. I mean, this makes sense if you're going to play towards a Sentinel line. You get that extra HP. The problem is that we need to get these Sentinel units online kind of ASAP, but we can, hey, maybe start scaling up some of those other visionaries that we want to play around. And yeah, these guys that we can certainly put onto our board. Singed, we definitely want to be able to scale up, want to make as much econ as possible. He's actually going to hold on to this pseudo Chem Baron opener here. Obviously, we don't have Chem Baron in yet, but he's holding on to that rather than playing something like a Morgana and scaling her up HP-wise. So it'll be interesting to see what the board ends up looking like as we get further into the game. But yeah, other housekeeping, I guess, is that the TFT Macau Open is today. If oh, he actually sold the Morgana there. I'm shocked about this, but yeah, he wanted to make sure he could make 20 gold and hold everything here. I mean, it surprises me, but it kind of makes sense. I guess his thought is that I'm not really going to play around Morgana this game, and we definitely want to get the he wants to get the 2 Sentinels in to start scaling them up with this augment, and then he also wants to keep the possibility of playing around Chem Baron. I mean, it makes sense in theory. But before I interrupted myself, yeah, the Macau Open, I will be co-streaming Macau. Hopefully, I mean, as much as I can. I really just want to watch the tournament and see, how it goes, who does well, all that kind of fun stuff. So I'm definitely going to be watching it, so just tune into my Twitch stream. Link is down below. Hopefully I'll also be streaming to YouTube, though. I'm on my new PC and I need to go find that thing that allowed me to go stream to YouTube before. I have no clue. I just have to find, it's like an add-on for OBS that allows you to do that. I just gotta go find that. But yeah, I'm just hyped to watch, really. I have a little bit of like, oh, I'm kind of sad that I didn't go because I'm seeing people play the new like League of Legends card game there, and like also just so many people are there. It looks so cool. I'll get some of the feeling from watching it, Sag. But all right, going into first carousel here. Itemization wise, so we have Tier and Rod open here. That is like the Archangel setup. He is going to pick up another tier here. So I think maybe now is a good time to do a quick stats check on just Renata 3 and Explorer, because I have no preconceived notions of how to itemize this unit. Statistically, yeah, it says Shojin is god-awful on her. Where is blue buff here in the itemization? Yeah, I mean, it really looks like blue buff is what you want to be aiming for when you are playing Renata. I mean, she's 80 mana, which kind of surprises me that blue buff would be that much better than Shojin. Huh, I don't actually know why exactly that is then, because yeah, I mean, she's a pretty high mana unit. You would not think that blue buff would be that much better. Archangels, I feel like, is something that a lot of people tend to lean towards. I mean, looking like a lot of the items onto her just don't feel that good. You want kind of like an Archangels maybe. I mean, here, I can filter down to 3 items as well in case that changes things, but it doesn't really. Yeah. Nashor's looks pretty good. Gunblade, like Archangel Gunblade type build, if you go to builds here and look for the ones that really stick out, you're really looking for casting ability. It looks like the Archangels seems pretty important. The double Archangel setup doesn't even look bad. Yeah, it really looks like Archangels is the standout here. So maybe his idea here is to pick up the Archangels item and then still have the mana icon open. Now we can go for something like an Archangels and a Shojin, or maybe he'll even just make a blue buff. I'm not sure. We'll see. The stats love blue buff, though it does seem that like when you start to look more in depth at builds, it doesn't really like hold up to snuff. We do also have the Rel here, who is kind of the glue that holds the comp together. This is a more Sentinel Visionary type setup, and so obviously Rel is both of those. So very, very good here. We want to continue to lose here. You could even consider like selling a Singed. We are actually going to win this fight, right? This guy's board is very, very weak, which feels bad to end up winning here. I think it would have been tough to out-int this guy, especially because we want to be scaling up our units throughout the entire game, so we'd have to like bench some units and feel bad about that. So it would have been pretty tough to out-int, and our shop is actually pretty high cost. We do finally pick up the Chem Baron if we want it here, so we'll see if this player wants, if they're interested in actually getting the Chem Baron in the mid game here. He is also just going to make the Archangel at this point, and it looks like he's going to give up on the Chem Baron. He's saying, you know, we're too far into the game. It's also too kind of awkward to get these units in with it's not called health. No, health is wealth is the other one. This is called investment strategy in English, I believe. Look how multilingual I am. La strategy de investissement is investment strategy. Look at me. I'm a beast. But okay, we make 50 gold here, selling off the Irelia here, holding on to the Singed. He also, this is really tilting me that he doesn't have his comp in Team Planner, but okay, we can live with it. Also, oh look, Olivia Rodrigo fan. I didn't know he was based. Okay, we're gonna continue to chill on this board here, just really waiting to pick up our 4th Sentinel, waiting to pick up our first Renata here, also looking for mana item. There's the Renata, which is actually fantastic at this point because it means we can start scaling up the HP onto her, which is really, really nice. So this looks good. The only thing that doesn't look good are items in this spot. What are you interested in even building from this position? We can get 3 Chem Baron in, so he is gonna get the mid-game Chem Baron in, and or not. He's thinking about it. But I guess like the downside to putting the mid-game Chem Baron in here with this augment, it certainly seems like he's open to keeping Chem Baron in the mid-game. So losing a few rounds, I've heard some people even say that you can just win streak with Chem Baron as long as you get to that cash out. It's like kind of whatever, like just taking a random cash out that gives you like +1 Renata. I mean, that's one less Renata that you need to find. But it's kind of rough with this augment setup because obviously you don't want to you don't want to lose the ability to stack up your units. All right. I don't know. I mean, this one, you know, it gives AP and attack speed, so it does certainly make sense. It's probably never going to be the one that gives you the extra crit chance because we don't have spell crit at this point. And then I tend to like this augment a lot, the one that gives you spell crit and the fact that it also gives you the armor to Marshred when we don't have any Marshred on this board. Maybe the idea, though, is that we're close enough to a Marshred. One of these components can certainly be it, that we're not that hyped to take something like the Jeweled Lotus, and then you end up just taking this. I don't know. I mean, both of these play for like more like a multi-carry setup here. I guess the other thing is like if we like when we looked at the statistics on Renata Glask, I mean JG, yeah, did not look amazing on her. It also like it makes sense to me that JG wouldn't be that amazing on her. Units like this that have the shielding part of the ability, like that's never going to spell crit. And so like I feel like units like this tend to actually not want spell crit because part of their kit is kind of dedicated to you know, shielding up units, healing up units, and obviously if you can't crit that part of it, then it's not really worth it. It's gonna roll on 5 here and actually found 2 Renatas. I don't know why we rolled on 5. That is crazy to me. Is that just a mistake? I'm not really sure what that is. Can reforge the glove at this point. Ends up actually getting to Ionic Spark. Looks really, really good. The only downside is now we have Shiv components but no Shiv, but this is also Nashor's plus mana item. We just go Nashor Shojin here, and that would be, based on the items, looks like BIS on the Renata here. So yeah, I mean, makes sense. But yeah, I'm surprised at the roll on 5 there. It's 33% odds on 5. I think with the odds that are kind of switched up for the not the Vegas. I keep wanting to call it the Vegas Open, but the Macau Open. With the odds that are different for Macau, you I believe you get, oh, I mean, I guess his thought process, oh, okay, this is weird, but it makes some amount of sense. Let me cough and then I'll explain my thoughts, I guess. So, and I noticed when I looked at this guy's match history, there was a lot of stuff like Singed 3, a lot of stuff like Vex 3 in his match history. So he's playing this as like a a 1-cost and 2-cost reroll comp, almost similar to like family reroll. He's playing for stuff like 3-star Vex, 3-star Singed, 3-star Irelia, and then also pushing levels and then hitting the 3-star Renata. That's really interesting. All right, we can pick up Shojin or Nashers here. Shojin, yeah, I mean, a very solid pickup here, also into a 3-cost, so feels pretty good. I'm not against making a Shojin here, just guaranteeing that, more casts for the Renata. Also, we're not doing any kind of like, I don't know, I was hoping that he would do some kind of like super creative Renata positioning, because I know there is some idea that you can position Renata in like interesting ways just because of the way her ability works. You can put her more towards like the middle of the board and have her 2 missiles kind of like hit your entire team, because the missiles, as they pass through these units, they give you units extra shield. We're only getting onto like Singed here right now, which I mean, not bad, but I think there is an idea that maybe if you put her in the middle, you can get more shielding. I don't know. Maybe that's something that also still has to be developed as people play more of this comp. It's the reason why stuff like Archangels is so good on the Renatas, because it's you play for these really long fights with all these shields that she's building up. Also, my God, that's a Renata 2 dealt 11,000 damage. That is that's pretty interesting there. We also noticed when we fought that last person, they had Prismatic Ticket and they were going for a Rel 3. Pretty annoying, means that it's unlikely that we're going to be able to find Rel 3 this game, but hopefully we can still get there. Also still finding like a good amount of Renatas, even just on level 5. I mean, it's still 33% odds. So good odds of finding Renata. Leveling up only gives you, an extra 7% odds, which, I mean, when I say it out loud, it kind of sounds like a lot. But if you want to go for stuff like Vex 3 and Singe 3, then this is the plan. And I mean, maybe I'm curious. I mean, okay, let me do a real quick perusal of the match history one more time, because yeah, this game he went for this game he didn't go for this game. Yeah, so it really looks like the way that he likes to play this comp is just 3-starring all of the units, which is kind of wild, but it makes I mean, we'll see. We'll see if it makes sense, honestly, depending on how this game goes. It would obviously allow you to play for high cap, and it makes sense when you have augments like these, especially when you have stuff like the blazing, whatever it's called, the one that's giving all of our units a bunch of attack speed and stuff like that. That is very encouraging towards playing for all of your 3-stars. Hold the Singed here. There's another Renata. There's a Rel, though we don't really care about that. There's the Singe 3 and the Vex 3 big. Now we can push level, put these guys on the board. But yeah, this does kind of support playing around a duo carry. Steadfast Heart plus the red buff are the obvious slams here. You can move the Spark over to Singed when he gets a chance. But yeah, I mean, also maybe the idea is just you play Singed. You then at that point don't even need something like a Nashor's Tooth. You just get a ton of attack speed onto your Renata, who once again, like she scales, as all units do, very well with casting. But the more that she's casting, the more that she is tanking up your board and making them very strong. All right. Don't think we're going to go for Enragement. Bronze pour la Vie doesn't look very good either. And Golem, I mean, I guess Golem de Guerre would be the best one here. Sorry, I took Spanish, not French, so I'm sorry about But what about a Corone de Visionar? That looks pretty good. It gives you a Renata, lets us play for more vertical visionary. I think, yep, that's the pick. And now we're 1 off Renata. We can roll probably to 40, and yep, there's the Renata immediately. Also, visionary +1 onto the Singed here. The Shojin just goes onto Vex. This is perfect for us, actually. Down to 46 HP here, so we'll see if we can get back. Also, is he not going to move over the Spark here, just with the idea that he doesn't want to burn the remover? To get an item. I mean, I have to imagine Singe 3 is tankier than this 2-star Rel here. I mean, his idea maybe is that eventually you can just leave the aura item onto the Rel, but I mean, this is actually like a pretty, like, if this board that we were fighting was a bit stronger, that could have been an issue where our we ended up losing our Spark kind of early into that fight. So yeah, I feel like there's a little bit of a miss, but we'll see. We'll also just see what the comp ends up capping out as. We can play 6 Sentinel, we can play 6 Visionary. Which version does he want to play in this spot? I think we're going to end up 6 and 4 on level 8, but whichever version. Your guess is as good as mine, honestly. This comp is a mystery to me. I mean, I would think that Renata with Shojin, with red buff, with the attack speed from the Singed is just getting enough mana generation, so you would want to go more Sentinel. There is also just this idea, and I guess this is another kind of like core tenet of the comp as we're watching it in action, is that Renata has fantastic synergy with Sentinels. Sentinels get a bunch of extra armor and MR. Also, just a Rod here is just a generically solid component. We have tier open, so yeah, he's just going to go for the double Archangel setup, actually, just the giga scaling backline. But yeah, Renata, shield your units. When your units have a bunch of extra armor, the shields are more effective because it takes them longer for them to get through that shield. So yeah, there's also this really nice little rebel synergy here, which is very, very convenient because yeah, it's easy to play Sentinel and Visionary. So yeah, the board actually has a lot of just inbuilt synergy with the units that exist on the board, and also just the fact that yeah, like Renata herself really wants to be playing with boards that have a bunch of Armor Namar. Works out really well that this board has a lot of Armor Namar because it's Sentinel. So yeah, actually, like it's a really cool board in theory, and this is such an interesting idea to play as a kind of like 1 and 2 cost reroll comp. It's not just for the Renata 3, it's also for the other guys. And I mean, this Vex is dealing 8,000 damage. Vex 3 did get buffed this patch, so I could see it. I mean, 20 mana per champion elimination. I think this has got to be a fantastic one onto Renata here. So let's pick this up. Yeah, I think this makes a lot of sense. Just anything that's giving mana is scaling better with Visionary. I think you want stuff like this that makes her cast more. Once again, we've talked about like Renata's damage. I mean, it's good. It's important for her to be able to kill off the units on the board, or else you're never going to be able to win the fights. But just getting a little bit of extra, mana generation. The mana always heals, it gives you shielding and it gives you damage, whereas damage just gives you damage, if that makes any sense. Also, we could theoretically be putting Vex in the middle of the board to try to get better AoE off. Looks like he's just putting her next to the Renata so that Renata ends up shielding the Vex. I guess that makes sense to make sure you want the units as, you want your other backline next to Renata just so that whenever Renata casts, she's also shielding up your Vex. Yeah, okay, that makes sense to clump your backline a little bit around Renata. I wonder if we get an extra, unit onto this board. I guess we're not playing for 6 Visionary though. I mean, maybe if we found like a Malzahar or something, then that changes our mind. But I wonder if he would consider putting like Renata in the middle of some units just to greed as much shield as possible. It seems kind of crazy to me, but we'll see. All right, looking for Singed item here. Declaw is the only one that actually makes any sense here. So that's a good slam in my book. And yeah, I mean, at this point, we're looking at just leveling, finding our low risk on this board, or a rumble if we're a high roller. And yeah, feels really good. I mean, we can chill for a round for sure. It's so much attack speed onto this Renata at this point, from the Singed, from the Augment. Just look at her go. Auto attack the entire board down. Also, every time she kills, she gains mana. Like, this is the infinitely casting Renata, and she's shielding so much, dealing a ton of damage. I mean, I'm impressed by, also look at the damage block from Singed 3 as well. They didn't touch Singed 3 this patch as far as I understand it, so that's just Singed 3 raw doing work. All right, question is if you want to roll here or not. I mean, I don't actually mind playing something like this, just the Emissary. Though honestly, isn't LeBlanc stronger on this board? Maybe I'm too much of a LeBlanc enjoyer, but does extra attack speed on this Renata really do anything when you're already getting this much? And the attack speed on frontline is completely negligible. So honestly, I don't know. I kind of feel like LeBlanc actually is better on this board, but maybe I'm crazy. Let's let the Renata keep going. Also, I'm quite surprised by how tanky this Singed has been, actually. Oh my god, 38,000 damage blocked? That's insane. Okay, Nami makes perfect sense on this board. Yeah, she's fantastic next in here. And I mean, I also love this. I mean, this is wow. Actually, this is just kind of crazy, moving this over to Alawi. A good call out, probably. I mean, we certainly should have done that the second that we found Alawi too. But I mean, the fact that this comp is this high cap, obviously we're a bit of a scaling comp. We have triple combat augment, so we're going to outcap people with damage augments here. But this is a 1 and 2 cost reroll comp. I mean, this looks gross, the amount of damage and tankiness that we have on this board. This is obviously like a really good setup. We have fantastic items, like everything. We're firing on all cylinders and we hit relatively quickly, but I'm kind of blown away by how high this board is actually capping. We would have liked the Rumble if we can't get that. I mean, a JG seems solid here with the Archangels. We have a bunch of AP scaled up, so why not get some crit on top of that AP? Makes sense to me. And yeah, I mean, at this point, we're just going fast 9, right? So why even roll at this point? Like, we can just go 9 here and it's perfectly acceptable, and then we can play for that. I mean, I wonder actually what our +1's going to be here, because we can play 6. I don't know, you could honestly just play a random Malzahar on this board, just because a 4 Sentinel Malz is going to be better than a lot of units. All right, this is a slightly scary matchup, but I mean, Renata does have a lot of single target. Yeah, enough to actually just get rid of that Camille. That's actually important positioning to make sure that the Renata is actually focusing down the Camille there, and also just making sure that your main tank is in front of the Camille. I think that's actually a very losable fight with bad positioning, so really well played. There's also 6 Sentinel now that we have in shop. He's just yapping about the augment at this point because it's so good in his position, but I have to imagine Heimer's the I mean, maybe it could actually be Nami over Heimer, just because the mana gen does obviously scale up here. I mean, what else would you even play? A Pacifure? I don't think so. I mean, Yeah, I don't know. Random 5 costs on this board would make sense to me, but we'll see. All right, find another strong board, this Quick Striker reroll board that's really been popping off recently. But I mean, look at the Singed. He's actually just tanking the whole board. There's like, I feel like there's some kind of secret Singed tech that I don't even understand. But I mean, I think the tech is just Singed through the Renata backing him up is very tanky. I never really think about this Singed unit as being that tanky, but I mean, when he casts and gives himself that durability, I mean, I guess it does make sense, right? Durability, RNMR, shield, they're all scaling with each other, right? I always try to talk about like scaling things in TFT with other things, and I mean that's exactly what we're doing in this game. We get a bunch of durability, a bunch of RMR, and a bunch of shielding, and it all works together amazingly. Adaptive Helm for the Alawi makes perfect sense. I mean, we're just bowling over this lobby 10 streak here, and I mean every single round we're getting a bunch of HP onto an entire board as well. I mean, I do think this augment has to be like one of the best augments that you can get in this comp, this investment strategy, because it gives you a ton of HP, which obviously scales with the RMR. It gives you the extra econ to play towards this comp. This is also a 1-2 cost reroll comp based on the way that we're playing it. So, it also makes sense from that perspective of like you want a bunch of units early that you get to scale up, and that's, what this allows you to do. So it makes sense. Is this just a fast 10? I mean, on 10, you can fit 6 and 6, which would be a really big upgrade rather than just rolling for anything random on 9 here. So makes sense. All right, we're finally fighting what looks like a pretty high capped board. They have, I mean, actually, they don't have that many like huge 5 costs on their board. It's really just this Mordekaiser who has essentially Lucky Loves, even though it's not Lucky Loves. But look at the Singed, the durability. He doesn't take any damage, man. The Singed just does not take any damage. I almost want to put Singed in the thumbnail because he feels like the star of the show in this comp. But I mean, obviously the Renata is helping him out a ton. All right, and we got one more fight potentially versus this amateur person to end the game on a 13 streak if we win it. This would be disgusting. Got to make sure same side Camille, same side tank. We do not want her wrapping here. They actually move the Camille so that she's not on the edge, so that she's not just straight up getting hit by these Renata blasts, which makes a lot of sense. Though the Warwick, I mean, the Warwick ends up actually wrapping pretty annoying. But I mean, our backline's so tanky here. Yeah, the Scarl, what is this unit's name? Jumps onto our backline. I don't know why I'm thinking of Cled's little guy. Also, why is Win? Oh, Quitter is not Win. But yeah, he jumps to our backline, and I mean, he can't kill anything because of the extra tankiness. That is Smeech is that unit's name, by the way. Well, what a cool comp and what a cool game. Hope you guys enjoyed this VOD review. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe. Check out my Twitch, all my other links down below. Like I said, I will be co-streaming the Macau Open today. It's probably going on right now. I got to start my co-stream. Okay, goodbye.